Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making River and Simon's Fruity Oat Bars from the Firefly Cookbook. The ingredients that we're going to need are 1 cup of rolled old-fashioned oats, 1 cup of flour, 1 stick or 8 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You're also going to need 2 cups of raspberry, either jam or preserves. I was only able to find preserves, so that's what I'm working with. As well as 1 cup of diced dried apples. And the only kind I could find were the freeze-dried, so we are going to make these work for us today. And all we need to do to get started is start putting these ingredients here into our food processor. Alright guys, I think you can see a little bit better now. So I've already gone ahead and added in my 1 cup of oats. I'm going to go ahead and add in my 1 cup of flour, as well as the cinnamon, salt, and baking powder, and my 1/2 cup of sugar. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pour the butter right on top of this, and then I'm going to pulse this until it's a nice crumbly mixture. Alright guys, I've already got this pulsed down, and I'm going to put it into a lightly buttered 8x8 baking dish, and we're only going to use about 2/3 of it for right now, just to form our base. Ooh, that looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, I'm happy with that amount. So while I'm pushing this down, I would like to remind you guys of the Gamers and Geeks playlist that JPickADeath and I have going on our channels. If you would like to be a part of it, it is a community-driven playlist made up of you, our friends, and YouTube family. And all you have to do is go out and make a cooking video, and then once you've done that, post it to your channel, and then you can let either JPick or I know in the comment section of our latest cooking videos. The only thing we ask, guys, is that you do mention the Gamers and Geeks playlist in some fashion in your video, as well as leaving a link down in the description to it. That way we can continue to support all of the fabulous content creators that have already contributed to the list. Alright guys, so this is looking really good. I've got it spread out as evenly as I could without letting it go up the sides too much. And now all I'm going to do is put this over into a 350-degree oven and let it bake for 10 minutes. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and warm up my 2 cups of raspberry preserves. Alright guys, I've gone ahead and taken the base out of the oven, and you can already start to smell the cinnamon coming through. And I've gently warmed up the raspberry preserves, and it did take 1 whole jar plus a little bit of my other one. And now all I'm going to do is add in about 1 cup of my apples. Now it does call for diced apples, but the freeze-dried ones are kind of hard to dice up, so I'm just going to break them apart a little bit and kind of estimate a cup of them. I'm thinking probably about 2 packages of them. There's not really all that many in the bag, so I'm probably going to go ahead and use all 3. Okay guys, there is our 3rd pack of apples. And that looks probably about closer to 3/4 of a cup than a cup, but we should be fine. And I'm just going to go ahead and stir these in. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring this a little bit closer to me. And we're going to go ahead and put our filling in, and then spread it around. One of the things I really love about this Firefly Cookbook is a lot of the ingredients can just be found in your normal everyday pantry. The only thing I actually had to go out and purchase for this was the dried apples. Those are just not something I typically keep on hand. Alright, that looks really good, and I'm just going to spread this out. And then we are going to go ahead and top it with the remainder of our crumb mixture. And I'm just going to start by, I think, dumping all this right in the middle and slowly working my way out to the edges. While you're spreading this out, you do want to just lightly push it down so that it adheres with the filling mixture, or the filling layer, I guess I should say. But that looks good to me. Now all I'm going to do is put this back in my oven and allow it to bake for another 25 minutes. And once I remove it, I'm going to let it cool for about 30 minutes before we go ahead and cut into it and see what it tastes like. So I will see you guys then. Our fruity oatmeal bars are out of the oven. They smell absolutely delicious. Still a little bit on the crumbly side, I will say, but I did bake them until they started to turn brown on, or lightly browned on top. I've let them cool for 30 minutes before I cut them into 9 equal sized bars. But let's go in, give it a taste, see what we think about it. I do want to make sure I get a little bite of the apple there, as well as our topping. Alright guys, so the things I really like about this recipe, I love the cinnamon that is in the crust. It really comes through and it pairs really well with the raspberry jam. And I absolutely love the apples in the jam filling. It provides just a little bit of tartness to help break up some of the sweetness from the raspberry jam. If I was going to make this again, I would definitely use a 9x9 pan. I think these are just a little bit too tall. I normally make mine a lot thinner. And I would definitely cut down the amount of raspberry jam. I think 1 cup would actually be perfect. The 2 cups seems to be just a little bit on the sweet side. But other than that, this is a really good recipe and I highly recommend that you try it. If you guys like this video, leave me a comment down below. If you guys tried this recipe out, let me know how it turns out for you. Remember to check out the Gamers and Geeks playlist. I will leave a link down in the description to it. And as always, thank you all so very much for joining me today. I've been Volgirl. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I see you in the next one.